right, here we go. Welcome to Control Talk Now, your Smart Buildings videocast and podcast for the week ending August 2nd, 2015. My name is Eric Stromquist. We're going to talk about all things building automation controls today. I am joined, as usual, by my co-host, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend. His name is Kenny Smyers, and he is a control man from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Kenny, welcome to the show. Big
Thank
dog.
you, Eric. I'll tell you, I can't ever get used to that. Every time you do that, it sends me on a different, like the stage is being set and the curtains are going to open up and then boom, I got to start.
Kenny, it's just because I know about your background, man. I know back in the day you were doing a little boxing in the day, and things would turn out a little bit differently. If the women hadn't discovered you at such an early age and you became a lover instead of a fighter, you'd probably be fighting Floyd Mayweather, one of those guys. You would have been one of the all-time greats. You would have heard that as you entered the ring every single time, right? So. Well,
that's interesting. I had 2 years of boxing, but I had 2 or 3 brothers that were actually very much more skillful and they had more duration in the ring than I did. I got wised up. Once I got hit a couple times, it was good. I knew it was time to find a different sport.
Well, dude, I tell you what. Well, talking about getting hit, Kenny, I got to be real careful here. My wife's birthday is tomorrow, so after we do the show, I got to go out and find a gift for her. And for our listeners who sort of tuned in back in February, I had the brilliant idea to get my wife the video wireless video webcam for Valentine's Day, and that went over like. I don't know, the Titanic on a roller coaster. It just, it didn't, but she loves it now because, she's got the thing and she figured it out. It was really cool. She hooked it up with her iPhone and her iPad. So she has it sort of in the basement. Sometimes she'll turn it on me, right? So I'll be down in the basement, office working or whatever. And all of a sudden I'll hear this, I'm watching you. So she started to dig it. So I don't know, dude. I got to figure out a birthday present for her. What do you get for the woman who has everything? Meaning me.
Well, that's really hard, Eric. I think just that, you stay, redo your vows again and, that sort of thing. But
it's only been a year, Kenny.
You can't buy tools and give tools as presents because I did that once too. On Christmas I thought it was a great idea. Each year I try to pick a theme, I forget what it was. We were renewing AAA, so I got all these really neat things for the car if it breaks down, whatever, and I wrapped them up as Christmas presents. And after about 2 of them, she goes, "You better have a present in there. These aren't presents. These are automatics. This is part of the overhead expenses, not presents." So I would think it begins with a J and ends with a Y. You probably look at I think it's called jewelry or something.
She's not into jewelry. She's pretty practical that much. But you're right. That can kind of be a safe bet. But I tell you what, for our ControlTrends community, let's have a little bit of fun. What is the best idea for a gift that you had for your wife or significant other that you thought was a great idea that backfired? Okay, so for mine would probably be the webcam, the wireless webcam. Although she loves it now, but at the time it was good for about 2 days of being ignored. So 2 days of pouting.
Oh dear. Well, it's a tricky business, and I think everybody has to take that journey themselves based on the experience, the empirical data you've gathered along the way, and
well, I'm a male, so that means I basically don't necessarily learn very quickly. But hey, Kenny, one thing I think we are thinking about doing, and I don't know about you, but I've been getting a lot of positive feedback about our location for the 2015 ControlTrends Awards, which, if you missed the last couple of shows, is going to be at the Hard Rock Live right at Universal Studios. It's just a magnificent venue. Our platinum sponsors are going to be able to take their guest on a tour of an exact replica of the John Lennon apartment at the Dakota. So that's going to be spectacular. But what we're thinking about doing is my oldest daughter, Britt, really wants to go to Disneyland with there's a Disney World or Disneyland in Orlando, whichever one's in Orlando, with her baby brother Axel and her little sister Evie G. So I think what we're going to do is come down a couple of days early with the kids and do Disney World and Disneyland. So if that's the case, you might get to meet my wife Anna and my 3 kids at the ControlTrends Awards. And I'm hoping maybe we can get Rita to come down too, Kenny's wife.
I'm working on that. We're trying to get that is squared in on the calendar. It's difficult to project January 2016. But I think, we're probably looking at the same thing.
Well, the venue is so big, it really is, that we could put the kids upstairs in one of those VIP suites where the babies are crying, nobody could hear them and stuff like that. The venue is just magnificent, and I think we're going to have so much space. So I think this really is the year. If you've never been to a ControlTrends Awards, this is the year to do it. Orlando's going to be warm in the wintertime. You're not going to be going to a cold weather city in the middle of winter, so it'll be a nice respite from our friends that are up north. And again, the venue is going to hold a lot, and lots of special surprises. Tony Stark, Mark Peacock, who knows? So, all right, Kenny. Well, listen, got a lot to cover this week. So, what do you say we get down to it, brother?
Well, we do, and it's we don't have any guests this week. So, for the ControlTalk Now News of the Week, ending August 2nd, we have the first post being real-time threat maps. This was a post by Fred Gordy, and it says, if you have not seen these maps, it can be eye-opening. These are real-time and or near real-time threat maps that are readily available online. And boy, I tell you what, I saw this probably about 6 months ago. Fred took us to the site and showed us. But this actually shows, they do it in an IBM fashion. It shows you all the initiated cyber probes by governments and by countries. So it looks like one of those war movies where you're watching the false launcher. Hopefully it will never happen, but they show like that movie that was filmed with your buddy Professor Gadget, where he's with a Wilpar machine, the computer, and they start a simulation game, and he starts firing all the ICBMs and coming up with the best. So if they ever had a chance to knock them out, they would it would be the launch. That would be the reason why, because they would have assured victory. But this thing shows all the distributed denial of services, the intentional paralyzing of a computer network by flooding it with data sent simultaneous from many individual computers. And this is how they knocked out the North Korean internet there for a while, was through this DDoS, the intrusion detection system. So it shows the other. What's really cool is it's color coded, and it's an amazing thing of how our world has changed beyond comprehension. And if you don't see it, I'm looking at the live Norse attack map, and this thing is it just looks like something out of science fiction, but it's our reality, and that leads us into some of the other posts we have for today and some of the other conversation, which is cybersecurity.
Well, yeah, and we're very fortunate. If you hadn't been on ControlTrends in the last 2 or 3 weeks, we're very fortunate. Our friend Fred Gordy, who's based in Atlanta, cybersecurity evangelist, and I tell you, Kenny, Fred is passionate about this. He's a guy that's in the know. He is really connected us with a lot of great people, and Fred is posting on ControlTrends. He's also going to be on ControlTrends. And Ken, Fred came up with an idea along with Mark Peacock from Lynxspring, and our companies are going to sponsor it too. Cybersecurity summit that's going to be in Atlanta is going to just focus specifically on cybersecurity and internet security for building automation controls professionals. So it's such a wide field, cybersecurity, that you could spend a lifetime getting educated on it. But there's just certain things that the building automation professional needs to know. And that's very, very exciting. I think it's going to be near the end of March next year, right, Kenny?
The date is it's going to be in March. We know that probably in the first or second week of March due to a conflict of schedules. So we're supposed to be able to announce that with certainty this week. But the place itself is very interested. It's the Georgia Tech Research Institute, and we have a hot button on that for the. If you go to AutomatedBuildings, Ken Sinclair's, we'll be talking about that a little bit later. But we have a hot button onto that site, and it really goes deep dive into the Georgia Tech Research Institute. And like you said, we're trying to establish a very kind of a more accurate cybersecurity as it applies to building controls and building control systems, and separate from information technology, which is pretty much inside of a company where it's a network for the financials and for the data, information about customers, and it's more data driven. Where we're in operational technology, OT, and OT is where you put web enabled devices facing the internet, and that you can be a pivot point, and people can come into the network, the IT side of it, through the OT side of it. So what we're doing is we're taking some crash courses here. I took that McAfee phishing quiz that Fred told us about on the last ControlTalk Now last week, And it is a challenging quiz because I honestly I got 6 out of 10 right, 4 wrong, but they have what they so we're seeing this just tremendous the fields of information that are very essential to learning about cybersecurity. We now have those pretty much at hand. We have an incredible summary we'll talk about a little bit later about cybersecurity for this week. So we're getting weekly reviews, but it's a very challenging quiz. You go to McAfee's website, you take their phishing quiz, and it'll put you straight on how much you know about emails, what's a legitimate email, what's a phishing email. Phishing email, of course, is when they send you an email and you don't know who it's really from, and then you click on it, and that embeds things into your computer that you don't want, and that's where your problems begin. So try not to open up emails. Of course, don't open up emails. Fred Gordy sent a very entertaining video on it's a spoof on opening opening emails that you're not familiar with. It's an IT kind of spoof on a large organization, all the employees, all the goofy things that they do to make the organization vulnerable. So kind of summarize that. Fred's belief is that it's all human based. If we could patch the humans, get them upgraded, get their awareness levels where they belong, then we can eliminate a whole lot of cyber attacks and cyber consequences.
No, absolutely, Kenny. Well, sort of cycling back around to the summit, and again, really appreciate both Fred Gordy and Mark Peacock's dedication to really shining a light on this. I think, as I mentioned last week on the show, there are several really, really bright controls guys, some of the brightest minds we know that are not necessarily even seeing this as being a huge threat. So I think through the perseverance of Mark Peacock, Fred Gordy, guys like Ken Sinclair, and of course us, I think we're bringing more awareness to it. And the Georgia Tech thing is very interesting. I think that gives a huge legitimacy to this summit. They actually have a lab over there. They have a subset of their whole cybersecurity division, if you will. And this subset just focuses on building automation control systems. So as I understand it, Kenny, they actually have guys over there that they got different systems and they go in and they hack them. And hopefully we're going to get a tour of that. That would be a really cool part of the summit, is if we could go over and people could see how they're actually hacking into these different systems. But I think that's just going to be a phenomenal event for our industry. And again, congratulations to Fred and Mark for putting this together, and ControlTrends is fully behind it, as I'm sure Ken Sinclair, Kaba, and other people in our industry will be as well. And our companies, DMS Controls Group, your company, and my company, Stromquist & Company, Kenny and I are both distributors of HVAC controls and building automation controls. So our companies are actually helping sponsor that as well. So we'll keep you updated on that. But I think the way they're talking about laying it out, Kenny, it's going to be great. It's not going to be too time consuming. I think they're trying to look for like a Monday so you can maybe fly in on the weekend, spend the weekend in Atlanta, hit the conference maybe all day Monday, half a day Tuesday, you're back out, so you're not taking too much time from your week. And I think they're really committed to, although they've got a lot of sponsors that are lined up, the sponsors understand that this is more educational, so there's not going to be like a product showcase. It's not going to be like you're pushing products. It's going to be, I think, very informative and very useful. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, like I saw, Mark has a tentative list of the subjects that will be covered, and like you said, this is more of an informative. If you don't know a lot about it, that's okay, because this is a good starting point. If you do know a lot about it, this will give you more opportunities, because the Georgia Tech Research Institute, if you go on there, it shows you some of the, like the Air Force gave them a $7.8 million contract. So they're working with the government. They're working with the military. So they're working with the U.S. government. They're working with the Fortune 100 companies to deal with the really big, issues. And they have an incredible lab. So they have, I think, 15 labs. And one of them's dedicated, right now it's the industrial control systems. And what we're helping to do, too, is getting a subset. Underneath that industrial control systems is where we're going to come in with our building systems and our building controls. So it's going to be just a great experience. And again, it's the top trend going right now, and we're going to cover it. There was a week in it's called 0 Days Week in Security, and it just goes, this is a great website to visit, zdnet.com. So www.zdnet.com. And they put together a summary of the week's, what's happening with the U.S. Backpedal this week on plans to regulate hacking software under the Wassenaar arrangement. is a good article. NSA access phone data, some more controversial issues there. The August Black Hat presentation and DFON presentation on hacking a rifle. They actually show how they can, it's called Tracking Point. Last we heard, however, Tracking Point was having financial troubles and wasn't taking orders for new weapons, but these guys went in act. So this thing, they could actually change the sight alignment, the target acquisition, scary stuff. U.S. Census Bureau, we see that there's more news there about hackers who managed to pull off an employee records. The company, or not the company, the hackers are called Anonymous. And the 21 million people still remain unprotected from whoever stole the U.S. Office of Personnel Management's records. It just goes on and on. So, and then Facebook is rolling out a new security checkup tool worldwide. And this is going to be where you can finally ask which ones you want off as far as the features go. The security tools that are available to everybody using Facebook every time you get an update or patch, it sets you back to default password. So what's happening is there's a tremendous amount of information that's being accessed unintentionally or given away unintentionally by the users. So now,
hey, Kenny, let me ask you a question. With all this going on, do you think it's going to roll to the whole social media network stuff? In other words, you and I have talked in the past about how when you've actually looked at this, I haven't, but for example, Google, you were telling me like Google and Facebook and all, when you basically agree to those things, you're pretty much giving away all your content for free, which I don't think dawns on a lot of people because most of us don't create a lot of great content. But if I'm understanding you correctly, didn't you say, like, for example, with Google or whatever, if you upload an image to Google, you pretty much, they can use it royalty free or whatever, right? Explain that if you would.
Yeah, it's out of the book Future Crimes, Mark Goodman, and it's the third chapter, I believe. The terms of agreement, terms of service, the TOS and TOAs that you sign when you click on it, you agreed to it. They've made them so impossibly long and hard to read. They use the the number 6 on your font size, so it's 24,000 words long, so people don't read them. And what they do is they give away all of the everything. They give the rights to, like, Google or Facebook for them to own that property, and then these people. Artists, professional artists have they posted an amazing sunset was one of the examples. Well-known photographer lost a court case where they battled over whose property it was, and the courts found that whoever owns the data, whoever houses the data, holds the data, ultimately owns the whatever was posted. So once you put it up there, it goes in their data banks, all that becomes theirs. And then they have very, very, they say that we have this permanently future. There's something that was even more ridiculous than you could imagine. A UK company said that you are giving us authorization to take control of your immortal soul. And people
and
we read it.
Right, but it's interesting. So, on one hand, it doesn't bother me that much at this juncture, okay? But, for example, I can click on, like, YouTube, for example. I'll look at a particular YouTube video, and then all of a sudden, I'm getting emails from, related products or from that company. I'm getting, recommended videos. I mean, same thing with Amazon. So I know they're taking all that data and they're using it to, I guess altruistically say, create a more valuable experience for me because I'm just seeing content that I'm interested in. But I think from an advertiser's perspective, they're paying big bucks for that. So, okay. So, that's been going on for a while. We're kind of okay with that, but now you begin to factor in the whole cybersecurity aspect of it, and these are potential leaks or hacks or whatever. Do you think we're going to get to the point that people are just going to go, hey, enough, I'm not going to be on Facebook anymore, I'm not going to be on Google anymore? I understand that, from reading some of these books, that there is a way that you could be sort of completely on the internet and sort of like there's a deep internet or whatever that you bypass all this stuff and you really are secure, and they can't get access to this. But I guess my question is there an internet without Google? And are we going to get to the point where people are just going to say enough already, and they're not going to go with Google? Maybe somebody else comes up with another a search engine or something that doesn't have one. Maybe there already is one. If our listeners out there know, be very interested to hear your input and comments on that. But it just seems like the wild card now, Kenny, is the whole cybersecurity thing, and the fact that the more of these places that we're on, the more our information could get hacked, our identities could get stolen or whatever.
Well, Eric, you can't disinvent the internet. It's like Margaret Thatcher said once about nuclear weapons. You know, when we were going through some of the real tense moments 20 years ago, it was a very profound statement. You can't disinvent nuclear weapons. You can't disinvent the internet, and what's done is done. It's the incredible thing about the digital footprint. They don't go away. So anything that's on there is on there permanently. I think what you're saying, though, is that as we become more aware, part of the process will be some sort of a bill of rights for internet users. And there's a university in Germany that started a big thing because under in the United Nations, they want access to the internet as part of your basic set of human rights. So that's how important the internet is and how it's not going to go away. I think, though, that what's happening is they can anonymize a lot of the information that's right now tied to your actual identity. I'm reading this article from the Harvard Business Review, and it says, in general, organized crimes are trying to steal things of high value. One of the most valuable industries in terms of cost is healthcare. So what you see is criminals are going after health records because on the black market, they can sell a health record for $50. If they steal a credit card data or social security number, they might be able to sell that on the black market for $1. Wow. If they steal a health record, not to sell it, but to leverage the information to a more sophisticated attack. Hey, I know you're about to have an operation. Don't forget to take care of your family financially. Transfer some money here, whatever. So they're using this profiling, to come up with a bigger sting. I think what's happening is more and more people are tied to loss of life. There's an unfettered blog here, and this comes from a guy named Joseph M. Weiss, control system cybersecurity expert, and he weighs in on cybersecurity, science and technology, and security emergent threats. And he says, listen, viruses and worms haven't killed anyone or destroyed any equipment. Cyber system control incidents have. In fact, I had not known this until just yesterday from Fred Gordy. Or Mark Peacock, I'm not sure which one, but we're seeing a lot of traffic, and these are really good stuff. But now they have 25 incidents that have caused injuries and or deaths. More than 50 incidents resulted in equipment or environmental damage, and a very conservative estimate of the direct cost of control system cyber incidents to date is more than $15 billion, not million, billion. And so that's why the recent Lloyd's of London cyber insurance study on cyber attack off the power grid provided estimated losses from a hypothetical attack. And these actual costs are from real control systems. So we're seeing so much more information. I think as that attention increases awareness, people are going to expect people to step in, government agencies to step in, or private sector people to provide products that will come in and kind of, I don't know if they'll save the day, but they'll minimize your exposure. Well,
I tell you what, it's interesting, and I don't know whether you got these commercials up in Pittsburgh, but in Atlanta, they're running these sort of ad nauseum and on the radio, for example, and it's a law firm. And they're advertising, hey, is your boss asking you to work extra hours? Are you having to do stuff on your own time? If you're not getting paid for it, your rights are being violated, contact us, we'll deal with it, which to me is just opening up a huge can of worms. But I'm kind of surprised, a law firm hadn't picked up and said, hey, Google shouldn't be able to use your rights like that. We're going to fight. I mean, that seems like it could just be a huge lawsuit around that.
They tried suing Google. If you want, I'll go get a reference. Okay. I can give you the actual precedent law cases. They lost.
Okay. All right.
Facebook was sued. There was stalking deaths that led to a girl putting information up that was given away to somebody else. Her parents sued them, and they were held harmless. And then Google, and then when they do lose, they pay $25 million. That's just a spec. Like Mark Goodman is saying, we're not customers. We are the product. Our information is being sold to people that aggregate data and sell it. And the biggest ones are the phone companies. I mean, you can't just point at Google. I mean, to me, Eric, we created the problem, by the fascination and just the sheer novelty and just the expediency of being able to do things that you couldn't do before. And then everything's, we're saving the planet by putting everything in a digital world, but then we're creating another consequence that was unintended,
Yeah.
I mean, what's our alternative? Go back to, emailing or writing letters again? I mean, those days are gone. So you're always talking about the type of changes. The one, you have a structural change, and then you have a cyclic change. We are at the, and I think it's just beginning, So 10 years from now, these conversations we're having will be passé, because they'll have some sort of either we all grow up with a harder skin, more used to being exposed, or we have cybersecurity measures that actually work.
Well, I think it's probably going to be the latter there. I think it'll all get worked out. It's just it's an interesting time, and I think it is a structural change. But within that structural change, I think we'll see cyclical changes too. But all right, Kenny, well, I'll tell you what, we got some other stuff to cover this week. Let's get back to the week that was. What do we have up next, big dog?
We're not going to move far away from the concept or the topic of cybersecurity, because the next post is Shodan. Again, Fred Gordy. We got a critical mass here, so we'll get a lot of really good information up and at them. Are your sites listed? If you haven't heard what Shodan is and what it can do, and why you should care, I would suggest you get familiar with it. Shodan is called the Google of the Internet of Things, and it continuously catalogs web-facing connected devices such as control systems, computers, refrigeration, air conditioning, or cracks, power systems. Why should we care? Anyhow, this will be just kind of a replicated of a lot of what we said, but this is actually showing what's on a site and how you may be putting an internet-facing device on the network that could be immediately hacked, because the Shodan takes all those IP addresses and they puts them on there. From what I understand, it even lists the passwords. Any default passwords that's associated with that router or that device is given as information. So it's something you want to get very familiar with and fix.
Kenny, who founded Shodan? Who came up with that concept?
I can't say I know that. I'll look for it.
Well, I tell you what, if any of our listeners out there, Fred Gordy, Mark Peacock, any of you guys know the history of it, who created it, would be very, very interesting, because it does look like something out of Star Wars or something like that. But all right, buddy, what will we have up next?
All righty, let's change the pace up a little bit. We have our next post is, let's see here, we've got Lynxspring Exchange 2015 announces sponsors and supporters, and we're seeing this scheduled for October 26th through the 28th, 2015. It's going to be in St. Louis, Missouri. Wait. Kansas
City, isn't it?
Yeah, I got that mixed up. Sorry. It's going to be at the Argosy Hotel and Casino, Riverside, Missouri. So, yeah, by Kansas City. I was just watching something to do with St. Louis that went out first without thinking. But this is a growing event. Lynxspring Exchange Partner Conference, again, October 26th to the 28th at the Argosy Hotel Casino in Riverside, Missouri. The participating platinum sponsors are DG Logic, Tritium, and Viconics. Participating as gold sponsors are Belimo, Connex Energy, and KMC. Silver sponsors Connect Air, Eagle Technology, J2 Innovations, M2M Systems Integrations, Sky Foundry, Yardi Alliance, and ACI and Functional Devices are bronze sponsors. So well done, Lynxspring and Mark Peacock, getting a big show going. It's going to be something that is going to bring the business partners, integrators, contractors, OEMs, and technology partners all together to practice exchange, collaboration, and networking.
Well, I tell you what, Mark is a very bright guy, and of course Terry Swope, the CEO out there, and the rest of the crew. They're very bright guys there, Kenny. And I tell you what, Lynxspring is one of those sort of quiet yet very effective companies. They foster a lot of loyalty with their customers. They do a lot of multi-location type venues and sites. I encourage you, if you don't have a building automation product line you're working with, or if you have one and you're looking to add a second one, a backup one, Lynxspring is a great choice. If you're in Georgia or Florida, Stromquist and Company can help you out with that. But check those guys out. Mark is one of the really great guys in our industry. Among other things, he's the MC at the ControlTrends Awards, and he is just a dynamite guy. And Terry Swope, I don't think you find a better individual than Terry, and that whole company just sort of exudes integrity and just good guys to work with, good guys and girls to work with.
Sure. And we're going to be there too.
I think we're one of the media sponsors, aren't we? ControlTrends is.
We're media sponsors along with Cava and AutomatedBuildings.
Yeah. Hey, Ron Zimmer, hope you're listening. I got a post I'm going to put up with you next week. Ron Zimmer with Cava.org. All right, Kenny, what do we have next, big dog?
All right, next up we have ProLon, the easy way to do zoning. We have an opportunity to speak with Angie Jarvis, and the product manager for ProLon. And this is a really cool product. As you say, this video shows just how easy it is to set up a ProLon zoning system. I think what's really cool about the ProLon is that they've really expanded all of their product lines, and it used to be just kind of the straight stick, constant volume air handling applications, but those days are long gone. Dan Kerwin and the guys at ProLon have put together an incredible array of applications and software, and we got to see a hands-on demonstration of some of the new products. For instance, ProLon now has a boiler lead lag program that was really a good one. They have controllers, AHU controllers. They have basically plant controllers. They have wall sensors. They have accessories. So you're now seeing ProLon take a very, very serious step into the next level of commercial VAV zoning and the standard stuff. So you're looking at probably a perfect fit for like any of the strip malls, anything that has 12 to 14 zones. Man, this thing is very price competitive, and it's very easy to use.
Well yeah, done. Kenny, I tell you what, these guys, we have coined the phrase in the past, the race to the small space. The big applications for energy management that's still sort of left barren are the smaller type applications. And this product is really well designed, Kenny. It really is for that service contractor that, maybe has 20, 30, 40, 100 service accounts. Doesn't necessarily want to be in controls at all. If they have customers that want controls, they'll typically sub that out. But this system is for somebody that understands the equipment but doesn't understand controls. It's pretty much all plug and play. It's a really, really cool product and developed by the folks at ProLon. These guys are very customer service focused. They're CGNA members, Controls Group North America, the group that Kenny and I are both members of. So you've got a great network of ProLon distributors across the country. Just take a look at the video. If you like it, just reach out. We put a link to cgnacontrols.net. You can go there. You can find a distributor in your area and say, hey, we want to take a look at the ProLon. They'll come out and do a demo for you. But a good product, Kenny. It really is. And again, it doesn't have the level of sophistication that a Jace does, but it doesn't have the level of complexity either. You're not paying licensing fees. You're able to just go right in and configure it. It's perfect for that service or mechanical contractor that needs to offer his customers sort of that next level of control. And I think it's a very strong contender. Maybe we'll call the award this year, Kenny, the Race to the Small Space Solution Award. Who knows?
Well, also, it's a possibility, because you're right. That truly is where 80% of the market is the the buildings under 20,000 square feet. But yeah, the download of the Focus, the version 6, is free on ProLon's website. And as you say, they have a complete product line now. They've got the VC1000 VAV zone controller. They've got the T1100 thermostat. They've got the M1000 rooftop unit controller. They have a VC1000 humidity controller. And it's got all the latest bells and whistles. It's remote access possibilities. It's got a really nice phone app called ProLon Live. And it's just they did a lot of work. And hats off to ProLon. I hope they continue to be successful.
Absolutely.
All right, Eric. Next up, we have the Energy Department to fund master's and doctoral degrees in training for power electronics. And again, we just keep talking about another great trend, an important trend is our Young Guns Awards. It's great to know that Ken Sinclair and Brad are going to be up on stage helping us with that this year. But education isn't free, and having our government support at that level, so it says the Obama administration committed to accelerating America manufacturing energy. The Energy Secretary, Ernest Monitz's support of STEM education, which stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math, to create a next generation of engineers and manufacturers. The Energy Department has announced a $10 million fund available to establish one or more graduate-level training programs at colleges and universities for engineers in power electronics. It's to me, this is the kind of stuff that we have to keep exposing people. If one person benefits from this, from all our support of the energy.gov information and website, if we get one or two people that actually benefit from it, then we hit a home run, Eric. So we're going to keep posting this. We're going to keep on track. Somebody's going to get that money Make sure one of the deserving people that you know or yourself, if you want to pursue that course to get a degree, a master's degree or a doctorate degree, please take advantage of this funding. That's
very encouraging, Kenny. And again, hats off to you for keeping track of all this. I mean, there's so much government money that's available for energy solutions and energy education and energy grants. And it's a great time to be in our industry or coming into our industry. So you're right with the focus we're putting on the younger people coming into the industry, as well as guys like Ken Sinclair. This is just sort of the next piece. You know, you create the desire to be involved in our industry, and now you got the funding. It's all good, Kenny. All good.
Sure is. I wish I was young again so I could take advantage of all these things. Now that I'm older and a little bit smarter. So
Trivial Pursuits question for our ControlTrends community. If you answer this correctly in comments, we'll do up to 5 of these, okay? Here's the question. In 2016, how old will the man, the myth, the legend, and myself turn? If you correctly answer that question, and we'll give up to 5 correct answers in comments, you will get a free ticket to the 2015 ControlTrends Awards in Orlando, Florida. All right, old man. What was up next?
Shouldn't have done that. Now we're putting ourselves up for an easy target there.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Let's see. We'll do anything to get comments. All right, buddy. What do you got next?
Next up is how to make beer with the EasyIO FG controller. Episode 2 of Control Pub Talk with Mad Mike Marston. And again, it's a great venue. This came out of we were at the Haystack Connect meeting, and it was in Colorado Springs, and we had a long session there, and this was our first day out, getting some fresh air and taking the afternoon off. But we got real serious again because Mike Marston, again, as passionate he is, we're sitting there talking, and he's just got to go into his bag of tricks and show us how easy EasyIO was. He had an incredible walking demonstration bag where he had his own power supply, and at the bar he assembled a network using the FG32. But what's happening, I think, and we go into this, it's a great video, it's fun, so it's a lighter side of a very serious concept, and that is that EasyIO is growing their ecosystem, and they're doing it application by application. This particular video shows us, we start out with the air handling, the AHU application, then we go into the, this is an application some folks out there in Seattle made for a microbrewery that uses the FG32 as a plant controller, and it does everything you can imagine. So we find out from Mike in July they put a national sales manager in India. His name is Nup Payal. He's the national sales manager of EasyIO India, and then we have a gentleman named a Global Engineering Applications Manager, Glenn Simpson, and he will be in New York August 24th and 25th doing training. And he will also go back, he'll go to Connecticut right after that and visit Belimo. But so I'm saying that there's a growing ecosystem, application by application, and it's great to see Mike Marston's hard work pay off.
Well, Mike Marston, I mean, you got to like the guy, man. You know, he likes beer, creates a control application, makes his own beer with microbreweries. It's a really cool control because basically what you're able to do with that is not only control the temperatures, but you're controlling the time variable too. So you're creating batches. It's like you've got a recipe. So you're able to create those recipes in the EasyIO plant controller. And we handle the industrial controls, Kenny, you know, things like Honeywell Industrial and all. And let me tell you something, the price point on the EasyIO is so much less expensive than one of these batch type controllers you get from an industrial distributor or manufacturer. So it's phenomenal that EasyIO is able to do that. And I tell you, this Glenn Simpson just keeps coming out with more and more applications. We got several notifications this week that they've got new chiller applications that are available you can download. They're doing boiler lead lag, for example. Mike,
they're working on that one right now. Yep.
They're controlling vending machines with these things. So this controller is like a combination of a building automation controller, a batch controller, and a PLC. I mean, and you know, when you talk about the training, it's sort of fascinating. I think the biggest challenge, we've got a bunch of people that are trained on it. It's very intuitive to work with. It's not that hard to work with to set up and program using Sedona programming, among other things, and they've got free tools you program it with. But, Kenny, I think the biggest challenge most of our integrators are having is this product is so unique. You almost need an application or a sales type course to where this goes because, again, you need to get trained on it. But once you get trained on it, there's just so much controlling vending machines with these things, for crying out loud. Making your own beer with these things is phenomenal. So congratulations to EZIO and Mad Mike Marston. I tell you what, shame on you, Mad Mike. Shame, 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 shame. You say it with me? Shame on you, Mike Marston. You're traveling all around the world. Your audience is expecting Mad Mike's Control Pub Talk from pubs all around the world. We know you've been in India, Australia, a couple of other places. Mike, we haven't seen an episode from any of those things. So, if you know Mad Mike Marston, tell him to do his Control Pub Talk. Send us the video so we can get it posted on ControlTrends. Mike, your audience misses you. So we need to see. You're busy, but we know you're also not so busy that you're not going to the pub every night. So take that iPhone out, that smartphone, have a couple of beers, set it on the table, and give us some more Control Pub Talk, will you?
I had little to do that, Mike, but no, we missed the. It's an entertaining way to learn about more applications. And again, I'm really hip on this ecosystem now. Getting that Apple phone and all the apps, that was where it's at. And we have another post coming up here. We'll talk about some of the growing ecosystems. But you got it. In order for your product to be successful, like you're saying, you need to have people that have the ability to put it to its best use for its biggest impact. And that's what these apps do. These apps then take you right to a project where you're involved with the air handling controls, or so he has AHUs, we have small chiller applications, and then these people are sharing the applications. And now we have a guy, Glenn Simpson, who's going to make sure that we keep building the application library to make projects easier. So that you don't. It's got a good head start to work off of. It might not be exactly your same project or application, but it'll certainly be a great starting point. So. Again, the small chiller plant control application utilizes the FG32 platform, operating on the Sedona framework. The application supports both IP, BACnet IP, and BACnet MSTP. And so what happens is these are now downloadable so that you have a nice application, entirely BACnet. It's just a really nice looking application now, and all the BACnet object references are all really accessible right there on the screen. The setup screen. So well done, EZIO.
Absolutely. And of course, EZIO has got their worldwide conference coming up in Paris in September. You can check the ControlTrends site to get the dates and more information on that, but that is going to be a phenomenal show. So, Mike, sorry about the shame on you, but buddy, we just miss you. You're Mad Mike Marston, buddy. I mean, we want to see your stuff. All right, Kenny Smyers, what do we have up next?
All right, next up we have Automated Buildings. August theme, Transformational Change. Transformational Change, our mission possible. I thought that was kind of very timely that August 1st. Last night, Rita and I went and saw Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise, and that was nice.
How was that?
It was really good, but I think they had so much opportunity to make that one of the best movies of all time. I mean, Tom Cruise is one bad hombre. I mean,
by the way, did you get him signed to come to the ControlTrends Awards? Is he coming? Have you got that worked out yet?
We're still in progress. Okay. We don't have a commitment from Tom yet, no.
Yeah, well, he usually doesn't commit to the last minute, but that's all right. Okay, I think people would rather see, well, I'm not going to go there. All right, buddy. So we were supposed to have Ken Sinclair on. We had some technical difficulties, so Ken apologized about that, but maybe we can get him on next week to talk about the August issue of AutomatedBuildings.com. Be sure to check that out. But Kenny, like you say, he's talking about transformation. A couple of key posts he mentioned. He mentioned that our boys Tom Shurtleff and Rob Murchison from Intelligent Buildings have a post on there. Several other really cool things, it sounds like.
Well, we sure do. I think the key, just to read a couple sentences of what Ken's trying to say, is that we are under siege. Our industry seems to be slow to change. We don't want to move from our sweet spots, and so his caveat or his warning is that I'll read the last line first on the paragraph. It says, but transformative change is happening everywhere, but just not fast enough for our clients and, yes, even ourselves. If we do not lead the change, someone else will, and our industry will suffer the consequences of that. And he talks about transitional change being the process of altering the basic elements of an organization's culture, including the norms, values, and the assumptions under which the organization functions. But I like Mark Peacock, who's one of the articles there. Several great articles. We'll read those off in a second. But the thing that Mark Peacock says about transformational change is that several technologies have come together in building controls that is truly driving transformative change. True open systems are now here. Data and analytics we've really got an opportunity there. Wireless is coming into the impact zone of our industry, and as Zigbee 3, there's another article about Zigbee 3 coming in. So as the wireless technology becomes more and more reliable and more robust, it's going to become more of a bigger impact in our industry. But he goes to say further that now you have cloud-based applications and services. A few together, we're turning the whole world of building automation upside down. So what's happening is that the technology has been a major influence, but he believes that market dynamics and what value we deliver is driving transformative change. So I think what we're seeing is that where the example we all look for is the Apple phone, the mobile phone, and how Apple completely took an industry that they didn't have anything to do with, came in and took an ordinary object and made it just a game-changing industry, a game-changing possibility. For us to get that kind of value out of our industry, we have to take all these technologies, all this disruption, and somehow reconstruct it, reconfigure our business models, and then we will not be replaced by another industry that looks over our shoulders and says, hey, we could do that, and we could do it better.
Reminds me of a song back in the day. Kenny, you were a Rolling Stones guy, I know. Keith Richards back in the day had a song called I'm Going to Walk Before They Make Me Run. And I think that might be sort of apropos here. It was back in the deal where I think he'd been busted for drugs in Canada or something like that. And, he was sort of had the persona of being a real badass and, wasn't going to be pushed around by anybody. But so I think the song I'm Going to Walk Before They Make Me Run might be very, very, like I said, apropos here. Because it is. I mean, you're in your sweet spot. Most of us are small businesses. We're nimble. We try to stay that way, and you've got customers that want things a certain way. And I'll give you a prime example from our perspective. Most of the people, I'm talking about the distributor business, most of our clients, and it's changing every year, have been with us for years. They're older, right? They don't necessarily like using the internet. They like to look at catalogs. They like to come in on the counter and talk to Bob or Mark, one of our counter guys. And that's just the way they like to do business. Now you got younger people that are coming along. You better have an online ordering platform for them. They would rather, do chat, via text or whatever than, deal with an individual face to face. So what's challenging now in that particular domain of it is you really have to maintain both avenues for your customers to buy because you're serving two different customer sets. In many ways, that's going to get easier 5 to 10 years from now because less and less people are going to want to have the catalogs, right? But it's difficult because you really have earned your business by doing things a certain way, and to change it, just to change it, it's difficult. You almost have to, like I said, there's got to be a transition, and it's tricky. It's very, very tricky. So, but I think Ken's right. You're going to have to move. It's not a question whether you're going to move or change. It's just a question of when and how much, and if you still are around when it is time to change. But to your point, Kenny, we got so many people that are coming into the industry that are already around. We've uncovered Intel, Microsoft, Google, Apple. They're all here. They're all playing, right?
Well, yeah, you got. I saw another great presentation by Mitsubishi that has their own control system now. I knew that the Honeywell folks had worked with them for a direct OEM channel, and for us that's just another. We're restricted or cut out from another opportunity in this open world. We want things to stay open so that we can play. We're not bashful about that. We want to make sure that's the disruptive thing that Mark mentioned. If we keep it open, then we keep the best interests of the customers at hand. But that's a formidable thing. Mitsubishi is one of the premier leaders of equipment in the world, and if they're making something that's proprietary in nature and they're successful, well then that runs contrary to all the stuff we're trying to do to open things up and keep them, keep the field, the playing field level so that we can play in it. Otherwise, dude, I got to tell you, great point. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I don't think the playing field is level anymore. I think the whole game is going to be the playing field is never, ever going to be level. And, when you and I first got started, I mean, conventional wisdom, and I think a lot of people, what about specifically about the role of distributors, it probably applies to integrators as well as manufacturers. But, conventional wisdom, we've all been taught that you've got to get big, you've got to grow or die, right? And I'm beginning to question that, especially vis-a-vis a distributor. I can't tell you how many people that I've seen that they've grown their overhead so much that they're no longer able to be nimble and quick, and then a tidal wave comes in, a new player comes in, all of a sudden they're selling product through Amazon or Home Depot or whatever, and because they're buying in volume, you can't compete. So I don't know the answer. Maybe the answer is you do have to get bigger or die, but I'm pondering the idea now of maybe smaller and niche is better. And I'll give you an example. We have a client right now he's a distributor. He's got like 6 clients, okay? He's got 6 universities he works. It might be 5 universities he works with, and that's all. They're right here in Atlanta. And this guy basically services these guys to the hilt. So we sell him and he sells these universities. And I think there'll always be a place for this guy because he does things, he makes it so easy for them. In other words, he takes the products out to them. He's out there every day. So if they need a product, he'll get in his truck, he'll come over to our place or somebody else's. He's got accounts with us. He'll buy them. He takes it right back out to them. He offers a level of service that an Amazon can't, that a Home Depot can't, that even we can't, and be effective. So his model is very niche oriented. I think a guy like that will always have a place. I think because he does something, but he could never do that if he was too big. In other words, you can't scale that up and be profitable. So I don't know. I mean, this is one of the questions that keeps me awake at night with my distributor hat on is, okay, so how do you stay relevant? How do you create value in this ever-changing, unlevel playing field? The playing field, I think, is one of the first things we got to get past. The playing field never really was level, but it might have been more level, but will never, ever be level. And once you accept that, then I think you can see what your options are, if any. Well, I think it's an evolving process. The disruptors, we were hit like everybody else with disruptive technology. I remember the first time that I saw the newspaper on the internet, I just was wondering how in the world can the newspaper company stay in business? And how remember the Yellow Pages? I remember we used to spend a fortune on the Yellow Pages. It was like one of the most comprehensive thought processes, how we could cleverly put everything that we wanted in the right place when people were looking for it. We used to sit down and have ideas like if you were looking for a combustion replacement actuator, where would you look? Obviously the manufacturer's name, whatever, but whoever came up with that scheme succeeded getting the first call. Then it was a matter of having it in stock. If you had it in stock, then you had 2 positive strikes for you. But we're seeing now, I think to get to your point or answer your question in some degree, is like Mark Peacock said, that what we can't do is run the show ourselves anymore. We can't compete against the economy of scales. We don't have an economy of scale that services the competition channel anymore, and the channels are changing. So I think you have to be ready to jump on a new channel as it becomes available. And as harmful as it seems to you, you have to be able to say, okay, these guys are phasing us out. It's just like a product being sunsetted. You can stay right there. You can say, okay, I got 6 more years to hold on to this product and then and then work on repair parts or whatever. Or I can jump onto another, product platform that's emerging, that's coming up. It's going to be, around for the next 10, 12 years. We're seeing like the internet and the web. So you get your social media together. You learn how to survive on the internet and deal with all the cyber stuff we're talking about. But the idea is to join a community, and you're seeing like Mark says, mashups, where you create complementary applications. Instead of trying to shoulder all the overhead yourself, you come together and virtually assemble what used to be under one roof now is multiple roofs, and they change. You also have collaborative communities that they get things done so much faster than just a single option. If you wait on one company or one manufacturer, one vendor to provide you all your solutions, you're going to be very, very limited in your ability to go out and compete against other people that have no alliances, no allegiances. They kick whatever's available, biggest bang for the buck, and run. So we have to get part of that. We have to be part and parcel to the change, and then be good at it. Then we'll survive.
No, I agree with that, and like I said, this is not a static concept. This is very dynamic. I think the definition of value is going to change very, very rapidly. And I think from a manufacturing standpoint, you just have to really build unique, easy to use product. I think design is a key piece there, right? And I forget what book I was reading, Kenny, but the number one degree now that they're paying more than their MBAs is a Master of Fine Arts. I mean, these big companies like GE has a poet that they hired. And the reason they're doing that is because, for the most part, these products are all pretty much, they all work well to even be in the game, right? So they work well, they're designed well, they've taken the cost down as much as they can, so they're all priced very competitively. So what is the difference? What makes an iPod different from another MP3 player? What makes an iPhone different? Well, it gets back to there's an aesthetic that goes with it, right? It's part of the design, so that's key. And there's just certain things we're willing to pay more for. And and I think you have to sort of jump on one side of it. There are people that love Samsung, for example, or Windows-based products. I personally like the Apple-based products, right? So I think that the nature of good design is you're not going to design something that's going to be 100% for everybody. In other words, you're going to have your fans, and that's your niche, and that's where you play with, but you're creating products that appeal to their aesthetic. And I'm wondering if that's going to sort of factor down to people like us, and we're not going to be all things to all customers. And I think that was sort of conventional wisdom when you and I were coming up through the ranks. Because you could figure out how to be all things to virtually all customers. And now I just think that's more and more of an impossibility. So some of our distributor partners out there, our integrators, would love to hear what you have to say about this in comments, and we will keep tracking this. But so good stuff, Kenny. Anything else before we hop off and I go try and find a birthday present for my wife?
No, Eric, that was the last post for the week ending August 2nd, 2015. And
well, there we go.
It wasn't really a slow week, but it was kind of a quiet week,
Well, they can't all be jam-packed weeks, but, football season's upon us, so it gets infinitely more difficult for the man, the myth, the legend, and I to drag ourselves down to do this.
Well, let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons for a minute, shall we? And so that they got hit with a fine only for that artificial noise when the other team was trying to call plays.
Well, all I have to say to John Donahue, our friend up in New England, the New England Patriots fan, is, hey, at least when we got caught, we admitted it. We're not doing all this bullshit, destroying phones and stuff like that. Excuse my French there, but no, dude, I'm kind of in a happy place right now. I'm not sure I want to talk about the Falcons right now, but what I'm getting at is when football season's starting, Kenny and I need a little bit of extra help because it does get challenging when you get those beautiful fall days and coming down and cutting these shows. So, but hey, with that, Kenny, I tell you what, man, I appreciate it. Let's call this one a wrap. And
okay.
Your Steelers, I think, are going to be good again this year. We'll say that. And
well, they got their hands full too. I was teasing because they actually started this fantasy football leagues, and you guys got some people down there at Atlanta. At quarterback, he always throws up big numbers. You got some great receivers. You lost your running back, and then what else? To pick up somebody. So
I tell you what. Let me give you what I do know about it. So they've changed the offense up. Matt Ryan put up big numbers because basically their whole offense was designed around run, right? Pass. So he was passing like 600-700 times or whatever. I would not necessarily select Matt Ryan on my fantasy football team. Not that he's not a great quarterback, but they brought Kyle Shanahan in, so they're going to be a run-first team. So they got two running backs you might want to pick up. They got this guy, Devontae Freeman, and another guy named Tevin Coleman, a rookie. And both those guys are going to be doing a lot of running. And according to people that follow Kyle Shanahan, his running backs, just the system he has, his running backs typically do really, really well. Example, Alfred Morris with the Washington Redskins. So
See, that's great. That's great intelligence. See, now that I'll keep an eye on it.
So maybe Control Talk Now, your Smart Buildings podcast and fantasy football update.
Hey, you know what? It's that time of season, like you said. Everywhere you go, you see these signs now to join the fantasy football league. They have a lot of these money leagues where you pitch in. Everybody throws in $100, and then you creates a purse that everybody gets excited to try to win. But I don't play in the money leagues. I play. Heck, I play in the Cheese League, Cheesehead League with ACI. That's a great fantasy
Barry
football
Gordon.
league.
And we haven't heard from Barry in a while. Barry, if you're listening, man, we miss you. I'd love to get you to come back on the show.
Well, excuse me, that's not very. It's not a fantasy football league. That's just where you pick them for the week. But it's just fun. I don't know. Yeah. I've always loved football, so I can't. Although I get upset and I don't watch it sometimes out of spite, but like you say, it's the big news in the spring camp or not spring camp, autumn camp. Yeah, they're out there at St. Vincent's College. The Steelers are, and young people want to go, and it's Hollywood,
I tell you what. Well, it's another day. All right, Kenny Smyers. Well, listen, man, I appreciate you. This is Eric Stromquist and Ken Smyers with Control Talk Now, your Smart Buildings videocast and podcast for the week ending August 2nd, 2015. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great week. And remember, stay in control.
Indeed, Eric.
Indeed, Kenny Smyers.
Bye-bye.